Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has approved a 5-year plan to spend 300 billion pesos, $5.6 billion, to modernize the outdated military, defense officials said on Wednesday. A previous 15-year upgrade plan failed to take off in the mid-1990s, leaving the Philippines with outdated hardware, including warships from World War II and helicopters used by the United States in the Vietnam War. We have the go signal now to buy brand new equipment, like fighters, drones, light tanks, radar, an additional frigate and a submarine to boost our defense capability, said a defense official, who declined to be named because he is not authorized to speak to media. The previous administration of Benigno Aquino spent about $1.7 billion on the military during its 2010 to 2016 term in office, mostly on second-hand ships and planes. Duterte approved the $5.6 billion modernization plan at a meeting with top defense and military officials last month. A senior general said Duterte had approved 33 modernization projects, with a focus on domestic security and protecting the vast maritime borders of the archipelago nation. We're putting a premium on unmanned aerial vehicles, long-range patrol aircraft, offshore patrol ships and an electric diesel submarine, he told Reuters. The military is bent on preventing another Islamic State-inspired insurgency after rebels seized Marawi, the country's only Islamic city, for 5 months last year. The Philippines also faces a challenge in South China Sea, a strategic waterway most of which is claimed by China, which has built military outposts there. Besides the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan and Vietnam also have rival claims on the area, through which $3 trillion worth of seaborne goods pass every year. Manila had planned to acquire 4 submarines after 2023, but the plan could be accelerated to boost the Navy's regional capabilities, said Arsenio Andalong, a Defense Department spokesman. We want to get submarines as soon as possible, he said. Duterte had set aside $1 billion for new helicopters and light tanks, but no purchases have been made yet. The Philippines has received donated military hardware from Australia, China, Japan, Russia and the United States, mostly to assist in disaster response and fighting militants and pirates. Last week, numbers were disclosed for the Philippines' initial defense budget. While these numbers are still preliminary, they nonetheless warrant analysis to get a sense of what they say and do not say about the Southeast Asian states' defense outlook for 2020 and beyond under Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. As I have noted before in these pages, though the Philippine military has long faced a range of internal and external challenges, including insurgencies, natural disasters, and unresolved territorial and sovereignty issues with neighboring states, it has also suffered from anemic and at times strategic investment in past periods. While the country has been trying to make up for this through advancing a phased Armed Forces Modernization Act over the next few decades, with 3 horizons or phases initially out to 2028. The defense budget every year tends to be scrutinized for continuity and change with respect to that longer-term trajectory. Last week, we saw the revelation of Philippine budget numbers sought by the Duterte administration from Congress, which included those for the Department of National Defense, DND. For the budget announced on August 21, the proposed defense budget for the Philippine military, known as the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, is 188.6 billion pesos, $3.6 billion, for 2020. This initial amount constitutes a slight 3% increase compared to the amount for 2019. The composition of the defense budget and DND budget more generally reflects some structural realities in Philippine defense spending that are evident in some other Southeast Asian countries as well. For instance, while the budget for the AFP constitutes an increase of the overall budget of 258 billion pesos for the DND, which also administers other institutions, including veteran services. Around a quarter of 69.7 billion pesos went to pensions, a 24% increase from the previous year despite ongoing efforts by policymakers to control rising costs in this area. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana told Congress when asked about Chinese infringements into Philippine waters that Manila had very small capability to react to these intrusions. The bulk of Philippine defense spending is still going to the army. The service distribution proposed has 91.5 billion pesos for the Philippine Army, nearly half of the overall budget, with 29 billion pesos for the Philippine Navy, 25.9 billion pesos for the Philippine Air Force, and 36.8 billion pesos for General Headquarters, most of which is allocated for the AFP's military modernization efforts.